This is going to be a really quick video to show how an SEO agency hid information to try and trick one of my clients into using them as a service. And when I say trick, I mean actually hid real information and just presented it as something else. So what prompted all this? Well, the first thing is they received an email and it looked pretty interesting. It was like, we've done some research, we have valuable information, we're going to be able to help you beat your competitors. So straight away, anybody's going to think, okay, what is this? And let me take a look. And they've offered a video. But the very first thing that they do is actually hide the real Google result, which doesn't make any sense at all. So let's have a look at the video.
Tom on the phone yesterday. As promised, here's my video exposing some weaknesses in your competitors' analysis strategy, and that way you can leverage to direct more leads away from them to you. I understand that being a business owner, nothing is more frustrating than wasted time. If you're currently turning away excess leads and you don't want to get any busier for the foreseeable future, or if you're just on this competitive design.
So straight away, it's a sales script. It's really fast. There's no breaths. There's no breaks. It's just like launching straight into it. And what's interesting with this is that you can imagine that this person's probably got to ring 50 or 60 or 100 businesses a day, hoping to convert them into leads. And so straight away, this sort of starts to feel, like it's not very genuine. It's not very real. And perhaps they haven't really done a lot of, in-depth research. The other thing to note, which you're going to see in a second, is they're actually not at the top of a Google search. You can see at the top, you can see where they've typed in a search phrase, great. But you can't see images, news, and all the other options you normally get. And because they've used the word Sydney in the search, you would also normally see a map result because you've put a location. That's how it works. You would normally see ads, map listings, then the organic listings. Straight away, when I saw this, it immediately sort of rang alarm bells for me because it means they're actually not at the top of the page. So therefore, how can they say my client's not there or other customers are not there when they're not even at the top of the page in the video? The other thing that gives this away is two things. You can see underneath where they've typed in the phrase, it's cut off. And on the right-hand side, you can see the scroll bar is around halfway down the screen. So straight away, I was a little bit curious to see what they were going to show. So let's continue.
And you don't feel any need to outdo your competition at every turn, this video is not for you. On the other hand, Andrew, if you do want to bring in more jobs to knock your competition down a peg, let's dive right in. You mentioned if there was any phrase or keyword that you wanted to be on top of the results for in Google, it'd be point of sale display in the area of Sydney. And here's what that page currently looks like. Now, excess packaging is on top, close to the top. I just want to have a look at these guys down here, though, because these is more of what your business is actually going into. So let's have a look at point of sale, these guys.
So obviously it's my client. I already know that my client is beating these companies. So his information is actually already incorrect. And if we actually do a real search, a live search, guess what? It's completely different, which is what I was saying before. And so my client appears well before these other brands. You also see ads, you see a maps listing, and at the very top, as I said, you see normal ads and you see a typical Google search window. So straight away, the premise of what he's offering or looking at the research or whatever they're presenting as whatever analysis they're doing, it's questionable because they're not even starting at the top of a real life search, and they've cut off the window quite deliberately. So therefore, my client thinks, okay, we're not at the top. We're some way down the page, or these other companies are beating us. When the actual opposite is true. So let's go back to the video and see how he justifies it.
So as you can see, it's not necessarily the problems with the website, because the website does look pretty good, looks decent. But what we're actually going to be going into now is just the fundamental side of things, which is behind the scenes of the website, which is SEO as well. So this tool actually lists and analyzes the site, and this is what Google likes to see. And
okay, this is fair enough. One of the most basic fundamentals to ranking a website is you have to have all the technical fundamentals correct, meaning correct page setup, correct headings, correct technical SEO setup on all the pages, and obviously the actual content has to be relevant or suitable to whatever it is you're trying to rank for. What this agency then continues to do is they're using just a free widget that can actually quickly highlight any errors in a website. And the premise is that if my client's website is better or it doesn't have as many errors, then they're going to be able to beat these guys. Reality is sometimes the sites can have errors and still outrank others. it's a lot more important to have the right content, the right information, and to have things that are actually useful for people in terms of what they're searching for. So when you put these two pieces together, meaning they hit the actual real results, and they're using the errors of other clients as some way to sort of say, okay, we can beat them, or you can get better results of them, neither is actually really accurate. So then you start to wonder, who are these guys and how good are they at what they really do? If we go back to the email, the next thing I quickly did, I obviously watched the rest of the video. I knew it was wrong because I've got the actual client's data. When I look at this email, then I quickly looked at the person. And the next thing I advise all business owners to go do is try and find these people, try and find these companies to see how legitimate they are, where are they based, what experience do they have, do they actually have testimonies or case studies, is there anything that proves that they can deliver what they're talking about? I already showed you they hit actual search results. So to me, that's already a little bit dubious. Now you look at the profile, the only one I could find that has a similar name, maybe they've never updated their LinkedIn profile, maybe they don't care, but it looks for all intents and purposes that this guy is potentially out of uni. Now, don't get me wrong, somebody that's young and has all the knowledge in the world can absolutely kill it in digital marketing if they do the right things. But when you put these pieces together, it tends to paint a really questionable picture about what are they trying to pitch for and how they're trying to do things. We already talked about the real life result. And so this is one example. The reality is my client actually ranks for hundreds of different phrases. And as you can see here, this is Google Search Console. This is actually Google's view of how or where a website ranks. And here you can see I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. These are the first 50 or 80 odd search phrase results where they have top 3 positions in Australia. Now this excludes their brand name, and this is over the last 16 months. And so this is the actual real information. So while the video, the pitch was based on one individual phrase, the way we've built this website, my client gets found for hundreds of different things that are all relevant to their business. And yes, I'm still scrolling. We're still looking at top 3 positions. And so this is the reality, not what's getting pitched by the agency. The agency is using just a really simple external view to make some assumptions, but you can obviously see how deep we're still going. We're still going. And you can see all the variations in the different phrases because not every person searches for one thing. The other reason I knew this was wrong, this is my client's long-term organic search growth in terms of clicks and also impressions. Now this chart's cumulative, so it's showing us obviously a trend over time. But as you can see, it's been growing steadily over the last few months. And that's without heavy, intensive monthly or weekly SEO work. That's really been about getting the fundamentals right and then adding content to the site when they've got new jobs or new projects or new things to show off. And to put this even more context, this is my client's results back from 2015, so 7 years of history. And you can see here, once I redid their website, we rebuilt all their content, or represented their whole, the way they presented themselves as a brand, you can see the growth after September, and you can see the massive amount of organic search traffic they're getting. So could they rank better on more terms? Yes. Could they get found for a different range of phrases? Yes. If we were to put the work in and go back and redevelop some of their pages and so forth, yes. But you can already see here in some of the results, they've already achieved significant shift in the amount of volume of people they're getting. And it's so significant that even if you ignored all the data and all the information, so I'm scrolling here through the case study that I've put on my website that you can go read later. Here's the result. This is a testimonial that I received in March from the business owner. And they've attributed just over $200,000 of extra business that have come through the website. Now, they track that based on the contact form. So there'll be other phone calls, there'll be other referrals, there'll be other ways of information or people coming to them to ask about their services. So all of a sudden, we're looking at an agency saying that they could be getting more, they could be ranking higher, who've hidden information and haven't presented the real, scenario, potentially from a person that's inexperienced and not really done a lot of digital marketing, and they're professing to improve the situation. But very quickly here, you can see there's already been a massive improvement. Yes, there's potentially more, but this website is already generating leads. It's already beating competitors. And yes, we even do competitive tracking where, here, for example, is where after we first built the website, we started to compare or look at different phrases, about 80 or 90 different phrases in the industry sector that they were competing in, to make sure that we were getting a lion's share of online search relative to the other brands, which obviously we were. Just for my own sanity, I did a quick check the other day, purely based on that phrase that the SEO agency was using. And you can see here, the top 3 brands get the lion's share of search across, more than 50 different phrases in this industry. And the example that they were using, based on a third-party tool, which is using a lot of assumptions and external databases or whatever, they're basically nowhere. The only way to really prove this would be to actually have all the analytics information from Google from each of those brands, which is not realistic. But very quickly, even with assumptions being made, you can see that the top brands of these guys is not even the company that he used as an example in the video. And let's not forget, he hid what was actually on the first page of the search result. And so, it just goes to show that if you don't have the right information, you don't have the right tools, you don't take the right approach with looking at this stuff, you can very easily get caught as a business owner thinking you're missing out, when in fact you're not. Just to prove it even more, I use a separate computer that's not been used before for this type of search, and straight away the results came up differently. So my client's in the top 3. The other example that was in the video didn't even appear until the bottom of the page. And as you can see, again, we're looking at a search result that's got ads, it's got map results, etc. So in other words, the pitch was interesting, not necessarily relevant, because people don't really use the word Greater Sydney in a search. I've not seen that on any of the websites that I manage. Yes, they will use a location like Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, etc., but never this sort of regional sort of search. And if they do, to be so small, it wouldn't even be worth chasing. What's more important is that there's a whole heap of variations. This is just a sample on the right-hand side, where people in this industry or in this sector are looking for lots of different things. And those phrases are quite specific. So chasing the very general one might actually not be as valuable as chasing the ones that are a lot more specific. And that's what becomes more important when you're looking at getting the right customer coming to your website and then obviously turning that into a lead. So here again, it's an agency pitch. It's very quick. They're just trying to use an example to sort of scare the owner to say you're not, at the top when they actually were. And they don't have access to any of this other information. And as I showed you, the client that I'm talking about has top 3 results for more than 50 different search phrases, record traffic that they've had since their data was tracking back in 2015, and a recent testimonial showing that they generated more than $200,000 in generated business on top of all the other leads that they field every week. So it's an example where business owners need to be careful. They need to understand what information is actually available and how accurate it is when they do receive a pitch. And this is one of the things that I love helping businesses uncover, so that they don't waste money, don't waste time, and focus on the most important things, which is getting more customers.